Module 2, Basic Overview. In this second module, we will give you a basic overview of the system and familiarize you with some of the basic features and terminology used in Carolink San Francisco. By the end of this video, you will be able to log in and out of the program, identify different ways to navigate to different screens in Carolink San Francisco, have a basic understanding of those screens and what they are used for, know what jelly beans and olives are and have a basic understanding of how they are used in Carolink San Francisco, look up a patient, access the patient hub. Begin by clicking on the eClinicalWorks icon. Then log in using your CHN login. A password will be assigned to you. If you're a physician, by default, once logged in, you'll be brought to the office visit screen. Home screens change depending on role. We'll be discussing the different screens in Carolink SF in a little bit, but some parts of the interface remain stationary, no matter what screen you're on. The first place to look is this gray band here. This is where you'll see your own name once you're logged in. This is how you know that it is you that is actually logged into the program, and it's important to check this. You don't want to be charting under someone else's name, and you don't want anyone to be charting under yours. To log out of Carolink San Francisco, you can just click the X in the upper right hand corners, or like many other programs, access the menu bar here, click File, and Exit is on the bottom. The horizontal menu bar is another permanently displayed feature of the Carolink San Francisco interface. Each heading has a menu of options, but the menu bar is mainly used to configure settings for different clinics. Your own settings will be created from the File menu, but we will be assisting you with those during in-person training. Useful to remember, however, is your password can be changed from the File menu of the menu bar. Click File, and then towards the bottom is Change Password, and then just follow the instructions. Also permanently displayed, no matter what screen you're viewing, is the navigation toolbar over here and the left navigation panel over here. There are many ways to navigate around Carolink San Francisco. Both the navigation toolbar and the left navigation panel will take you to many of the same screens. How you navigate will be determined by clinic workflow and by user preference. On the left navigation panel, we see bands. Under each band are a series of icons. Click on an icon to be brought to a screen. For example, if I click on Resource Schedule, I'm brought to the Resource Schedule screen. The Resource Schedule is the home screen of the front desk, and it's here where patient appointments can be visible once the patient is checked into LCR. I'll be discussing different screens in much greater detail later. This is just to show you how the left navigation panel works. If I wanted to return to the office visit screen, I could either click the office visit icon here under the practice band, or I could actually click the S jelly bean over here. Jelly beans are another way to navigate throughout Carolink San Francisco. Jelly beans and the associated links in the letters next to the jelly beans are shortcuts to different parts of the Carolink San Francisco system. Jelly beans also act as a kind of inbox. When tasks are assigned to physicians or clinic staff, jelly beans will change from gray to yellow and a number will appear showing how many tasks there are. If a task is urgent, the jelly bean will turn red. So, for example, labs that need to be reviewed will show up in the L jelly bean of the provider that ordered them. Click on the jelly bean and the labs are there to be reviewed. This is only the very briefest introduction to jelly beans. You will be viewing another module that's devoted entirely to jelly beans and their functionalities at a future time. To the left of the jelly beans are the three green circles known as olives. Olives will show and hide different parts of the screen. On this view, if I click on the first olive, it will hide the left navigation panel and turn red. If I click it again, the left navigation panel returns. To the left of the olives is the icon of the little man with the blue shirt and the magnifying glass. He's known as Sherlock, and he's the icon that you would click on in order to access patient lookup. Search for your patient by typing a search term in here. So it can be a name, medical record number, date of birth. Make sure the qualifier in the pull-down menu next to that box matches. So if you're searching on a name, make sure that this says name and not date of birth. If you have RTS checked, you'll get a list of names as you type in real time. If you need to narrow your search, you can add qualifiers. So you can, for example, search on name and date of birth. And then if you put in a date of birth, it should significantly shorten your list. Once you find your patient and they're highlighted, you can click on Patient Info. Patient info has the demographics of the patient. Meaningful use required fields are asterisked in red. Any information that needs to be updated here needs to be updated in the LCR, since the demographics comes over on a regular basis from the LCR to CareLink SF and not the other way around. So any updated information will be overridden by whatever information is in the LCR. Click on Additional Info on this screen. There are more fields that are required to be filled in by meaningful use, and there are also asterisks. This is where you would enter the patient's pharmacy. E icon means the pharmacy is e-prescription abled. If P is clicked, that's the patient's primary pharmacy if more than one is listed. Pharmacies can be added or removed using these buttons here. Click Add and you get a list that can be searched by any of the qualifiers from this pull-down menu here. So you can search for pharmacies by name, phone, zip, mail order, fax, or address. Pharmacies can also be searched on by city. Structured information, or information that can be tracked, can be accessed from the Structured tab. There are different questions that can be answered by clicking on the value line using the pull-down menus and then choosing an answer. All this can be tracked if it's entered this way. Anything that is free texted in the notes, for example, is not trackable. Going back to patient lookup, when we clicked on patient info, we were brought to the patient demographics screen. If we were to double click on our patient or click OK after they were highlighted, we would be brought to the patient hub. The Patient Hub provides a single point of access to all the information available in the patient's record. It is also yet another way to navigate to different screens within CareLink San Francisco. For example, click on the lab link up here to view patient labs. Or click on the New Telephone Encounter button here to open a new telephone encounter. In addition to those particular links, there are also links to diagnostic imaging results, immunizations, referrals, allergies, alerts, and notes. Access patient lookup, or patient demographics. Patient information also appears over here, including the primary care provider and a picture if a clinic is using photos. Patient Documents takes you to the document screen. Letters takes you to where you can generate letters. Encounters takes you to a list of encounters. From here, it's also possible to view logs of who might have accessed those encounters. From here, you can look at a medical summary, medication summary, access progress notes, a patient's problem list, medical record, and here information is organized under tabs, encounters, labs, diagnostic imaging, and scan documents. You can view logs of letters that have been sent and logs of faxes that have been sent. Your logs of e-prescriptions is also available from the Patient Hub. On the very bottom of the hub is a link to the SFDPH website. This site provides multiple links to different forms, applications, and references. To the right of the hub is the right chart panel. The right chart panel will be found on any patient-specific screen and also contains information about the patient, including information from prior visits, in order to make that information easy to access. On a progress note, you have your right chart panel, and you also have the patient dashboard. The patient dashboard also contains patient information and quick links to different parts of the program. Both these features will be discussed in detail during the charting video. For now, note that the olives here will hide the right chart panel and the patient dashboard. The last two screens I'd like to discuss in some detail is the Resource Schedule screen and the Office Visit screen. Get to the Resource Schedule screen by clicking on the icon under the practice band in the left navigation panel, or by clicking on the S and choosing Resource Schedule. The Resource Schedule is the default screen for those working at the front of the clinic. From this screen, patients can be checked in and at the end of their visit, checked out. Appointments can be viewed and very soon scheduled for both providers and resources from this screen. It's possible to view one provider's schedule or multiple schedules. It's possible to look at a single day, 5 days, or 7 days. When a patient is checked in, their status will be changed here from pending to arrived. Their name is then highlighted in green. To access the Office Visit screen, click on the S jelly bean. The Office Visit screen is the default screen of the clinical staff, MEAs, nurses, and providers. View the Office Visit screen by provider or by resource. Use the ellipsis here to search for providers, resources, or both. Appointments can be sorted by day, all day, just the morning, or just the afternoon. It's possible to view just those patients that have been checked in, just those who have been checked out, locked notes or unlocked. It's possible to sort by appointment time, patient name, check-in status, the provider, and the appointment time. The date of the schedule is here. It's possible to view previous dates, and very soon it will be possible to view appointments in the future. Locked and unlocked notes are going to be discussed in much greater detail in the charting video, but for now, this icon here will indicate whether a note is locked or not. Visit type, the time the appointment was for, patient name. When viewing more than one provider's schedule at once, the initials of the provider will appear next to the patient's name, the reason for the visit, sex and age of the patient, and this is where you see if a patient has arrived, highlighted in green. Once a patient has arrived, the time they arrived will be here, and the time from check-in to check-out will be recorded under duration here. A clinical check-in will occur in addition to the original check-in at the front desk. Who actually performs the clinical check-in will depend on workflow, but whoever does the clinical check-in will click this button here, check in, the time is automatically populated, enter a room number if the patient is put into a room, and enter a status. The clinical check-in will also initiate a cycle time. In this case, the amount of time that a patient is in a certain status. The status column is an important way for clinic members to communicate. The details of how it's used may vary clinic to clinic according to workflow, but typically status communicates when a patient might be ready to be seen by different members of the clinic. For example, this patient is in the middle of the intake for the visit, and when that's done, the staff member doing the intake may click ready or ready for the provider, and once the provider goes in, they'll click provider, meaning that the provider is in the room with the patient. Other functions available from the Office Visit screen include to view progress notes, to view orders, and to lock a progress note. This concludes Module 2.